Alright, so this is the final tutorial I'll be doing for this class. This deals with Assignment 6. Now, Assignment 6 pretty much deals with coding, so HTML, CSS, some JavaScript. Again, I'm not necessarily an expert or really know much about any of these, just basing this purely off of what we did on the lab. However, I do have a pretty good grasping, at least in knowing that I think I did it right. So if you see me miss any parts or if you see me screw up in any way, do make sure to let me know. Just a couple of things before I do get started. I'm working this off of Mac, uh, off my Mac. You don't necessarily have to do it on Virtual Lab, but if you are going to do it on Mac, I do suggest that you do use an app. This app is called Noto or No2. It's this one right here. I guess you could similarly use your Notes app. However, I find downloading this one and using this one's a lot better. So if you prefer to just follow along with me, do go ahead and just download this off the App Store. The reason I'm doing that is because in Mac you obviously don't have the Notepad app, so you have to use a different kind of app in order to save your HTML files. This one I find pretty much the best, or at least it's the one that I found fairly easy. It's the one that the App Store recommended me. So do go ahead and once you get that started, we're going to get started here with the first step, creating the CSS document. Now the CSS document is basically going to be your template for documents A and B. The CSS document is going to be entitled your net ID and then c.css, and I'll show you how to do that shortly in a second. So basically, like I said, this is going to be the template for it. So we're essentially doing the last step first in order to, set everything up and pretty much set the format on how the next two documents are going to be. So you're going to get started. Open up this app, the Nodu app. It's going to tell you basically where you want to save it and where you want to open this new document on. I'm just going to work it off my desktop. You're going to create a new folder. Way to do it, just click this right here. It's going to tell you how to create a new folder. I already have it named. And it's Assignment 6 right here, so I'm going to save it under this spot. So I'm going to hit New Document. So here I have this first document set up. And I'm going to go ahead and type this code out. Again, if you see me make any mistakes whatsoever, do make sure to let me know. Once you save and run this CSS file, it's not going to look like the other HTML files where you're actually going to see results right away. It's just going to have the code right there. That's because this isn't supposed to show you any visual results per se. This is just a template that we'll be referencing in the next two HTML documents. You'll probably get to grasp more of it as we go along if you don't necessarily understand too much at the moment. So we're going to get started. Just put H1, this space right here, brackets, font, family. It's going to have to be typed pretty much exactly as how I do it here in order for it to work. It's want to specify here that the font wants to be in Cambria. So we're going to put Cambria, semicolon, space right here, background, image, colon, and then we're going to do URL, banner.jpg, and then another semicolon, text align, just going to leave that as center, and then finally color, purple, and then finally close brackets. So what did we do here? Basically just pretty much summing up what they said here on the instructions. The banner image, which is actually something you're supposed to download from Blackboard. Pretty much it's going to be 3 images, one of them being the banner JPEG. It says right here that you want that to be pretty much the image that references throughout all the other 2 documents. The font, as it says, is specified right here in H1, which is, I guess it's the header. It's purple, and then you also want the font itself. to be Cambria. So the color is purple. This type of font is Cambria, and it includes that banner.jpg. So what you're going to do is you want to go ahead and hit save it. So I'm just going to do Command S. It's going to bring up where I want to save. It's obviously going to be saved under the Assignment6 folder. And I'm going to call it my netid c.css. So for example, obviously my netid elserva4. You just obviously put it whatever you want. c.css. Hit save. In Nodo or Nodo, whatever it's called, it tells you this. It's going to prompt you to change it to a text file. Don't use CSS. And there you go. Alright guys, so moving along now, we're going to go ahead and do the second part, which is actually establishing the HTML documents. So we're done with this first part right here. You would notice between the jump cuts I just did, between the editing, I went ahead into Blackboard and I downloaded those 3 JPEG files and I saved it under that same Assignment6 folder that I have right here on my desktop. So that basically, once you actually go ahead and start running these HTML documents, it all references the same folder, or else otherwise I believe it just doesn't run correctly. So you're going to go ahead, we're going to go back onto, for example, my same app, the Nodo app, and I'm going to go ahead, hit new document. Brings up a new notepad. And now for this one, I went ahead and I just downloaded and well, rather copied, and then now as you see pasted this HTML coding. This is from our LX11 lab. Pretty much repeats itself right here. In between this, I'm going to add these texts right here. So if you want, once I'm finished deleting out all of this, if you want at the moment, you could pause the video and pretty much just copy it as is, and then we could go ahead and follow along. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and actually get started with filling in the code that we need. Where under right here it says head, you're going to go ahead and create a line in between that, and then copy exactly what I do here. Now this code was also lifted from LX11. This basically just pretty much puts that you're referencing that CSS document. Now since I called my CSS document originally netid.css, obviously right here you're going to put something else in place of this. If you saved it like you're supposed to put your netid right here, and then obviously c.css. And now under body right here, we're going to go ahead and move along. We're going to do H1. Close that out. Parakeets. That green or blue. Then you're going to end that command. And again, I'm not using pretty much just the correct terminology, I guess for HTMLs, because I don't know exactly how to say it. But this is pretty much going to be the text that's inside this CSS reference. So for example, it's going to have the banner image, parakeets, green or blue. And then it's going to have the banner image behind that. you'll see once I run it how it looks. Reason I did that, supposed to be a question mark here. Reason I did that is simply because it says right here within an H1 tag, right parakeets green or blue, and so I did that right here. So now you're going to want to put BR right here, which is a line break, and then we're actually going to go ahead and get started. Delete that right there. Now within the paragraph, you could just, or the P tag, you could pretty much just copy and paste this right here and put that right there. And now since you're gonna have to put this color green actually showing green, so I'm gonna go ahead and put that right here. Put font color is equal to green. Now green's got to be in parentheses right there, and then you got to end that command or close that command out. So you got to put the font tag with slash there as well. Later down the line, right here in the document, it's gonna, right here in part D, it's gonna say that everything that is in color, so this part, this part, this part, and this part, are also supposed to be bolded. So we're gonna add a B tag on there, like so. And obviously, if you add it right there, then you also got to end it with slash B right here. And that's pretty much the first part to it, or rather, it's part B right here. So now moving on to part C, it's pretty much going to be along the same lines. Another P tag. And then you're just going to copy and paste all that right here. And you're going to do the same thing for everything that has pretty much something that's denoting a color. So blue, yellow, and green right here, they're going to have pretty much these similar lines right here. So you can pretty much copy and paste this coding right here. It's ultimately going to be the same thing, except the only thing you got to do is change where it says right here green. You got to change it to blue. And then at the end right here, yes, you got to close out those tags. And then do the same thing here. Now this one, just basically leave it as is because it's already green. And that should pretty much be it. The one thing that it says right here is the tags in A, B, and C should not be nested with each other. That's just pretty much what I assume it means is they just shouldn't all be stuck together. So it just shouldn't all be one big line of text. You could do page break or break lines in order to avoid that problem. So just add a BR tag right there, and that should solve that issue. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this second part, the HTML document A. So you're gonna go ahead and save it. Do Command S, and then I'm gonna just call this net ID. Obviously, put your net ID a.html, and then put save. Use HTML, and then let me go ahead and see it just if I ran it correctly. We'll go back to desktop where I have it saved. I'm gonna open this with Safari. and that did not run the way I wanted it to run. Why the fuck did it not run? Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and run this. Just a quick disclaimer right here. When I want to go ahead and check to see if it ran correctly, it didn't run correctly at first. That's because when I initially saved these, it's saved as banner.jpeg. Just make sure that it's saved as .jpeg or .jpg, as well, similar to all of these. Because when you run it, you do see right here, you get that banner image right here, but it ran without that banner image if it was saved as .jpeg. Really weird, really weird detail. But as you see right here, pretty much everything else is as stated. This actually right here, I did a mistake. Shouldn't be blue color, it should just be blue. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix that up. And when you see a mistake like that and you have the file opened right here, just make sure you save it and then go ahead and just run it again. And then as you see right here, it's just the blue color. That's pretty much it. So yeah, that is the second part to this project. We'll go ahead and move on to the third and last part. All right, so for the third part, just open up a new document, a new notepad document, and just pretty much the same code that I lifted from LX11. Pretty much just paste it down here again. You can pause the video right now, pretty much if you need to copy it that back, or again, just reference back to LX11, and you could just simply copy and paste this code onto a blank notepad. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go and under head, you're going to have to do that same reference. So just retype this code again. All right. Then under right here where it's body, in between these H1 tags, I'm going to go ahead and type out again parakeet colon green or blue. Now it doesn't exactly ask to do that on this part. However, if you do not write text for the header, the banner won't show up. Now this could very much be a mistake on my end, or just the way that I formatted it. So if you know any way and how to avoid that, again, let me know. But without actually writing text under this H1 tag, the banner itself isn't going to show up. And obviously the banner should be showing up. It's the only reason why you're referencing that. It's the only reason why it says right here that it will be a part of both these HTML documents. So if it's a mistake that I personally did on the CSS file, and actually forgot to put .css right here, but if it's something that I did apart from the CSS file that the coding is not right, let me know. Otherwise, you'll understand more than I'm saying, because I'll do an example with the text and an example without the text, and then you'll pretty much ultimately see. So moving on, we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a button here. So between those two images that you downloaded, the green parakeet and the blue parakeet, we're going to have a button on it which changes, which alternates between both of them. So we got to get started right here. Simply type out this code. And you're going to put change color with an exclamation point right here, because that's how they want you to write it right here, obviously. And then you're going to close out that button tag. And this one right here was lifted from the LX12 lab. So similarly, you could go back to your LX12 if you did it and just copy and paste it. Otherwise, I just typed it out right here. So you could pause the video. Now under that, you want the original image to be referenced. So right here, you're going to put the green parakeet. And that's it. That's pretty much it. Once you save it and you run it, pretty much you're done with labs for IDS. So again, it's not so much of me really explaining it as much as showing you guys, because I don't really know how to verbally explain it. So sorry if a lot of parts in this video were just me typing. But again, you're going to save this as your net ID, b.html, save, use HTML, and then you're going to go ahead and view it. So go back right here. Motherfucker. So I did something wrong. Alright, so I found out my mistake. Right here, I forgot these quotation marks, so make sure to put those quotation marks on. And then right here, I forgot to put the equal sign, so do make sure to put the equal sign. And then once you run it, it does get it. And then you just have to hit change color right here, and now you see it changes the picture. What I mentioned right here between the parakeets green or blue, that's the only reason why this would show up, because if you see me take this out, save it, and then run it, it doesn't come out with it. And that could be an error in what I did with the CSS code. However, I don't think so, because there's nothing in the instructions telling me otherwise, at least in my opinion. So if anyone could absolutely find a way to do it without having this text up there, let me know, because I don't know how to just get this as just a banner without this text. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. I'll go ahead and I'll show you guys how to compress it. Just pretty much make sure that all the contents are in there. On Mac, it's going to be you right click and then hit compress Assignment6. On PC or Windows, you're just gonna, it should say something that says send to, and then send to as a zip. Just gonna do the same thing, and then just wait for that to do it, and then there you go. And then that's what you're going to be submitting as a zip file. So that's it. That's pretty much all the assignments. Thank you guys.